Good evening. Welcome to Spirit Connections. I am Tiffany Rice, Spirit Medium, and tonight we have Mandy Avery on. She has continuously graced our presence here at the studio, whether it's talking about spirit medium work or whether it's talking about her animal medicine cards. And I'm really, really excited because I love it when she does her animal medicine cards here on the show. How are you doing, Mandy?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on again.
Thank you. I'm excited. And I feel like we're on a team because we're wearing a very similar color.
Right.
I'm looking at the monitors.
Memo.
And
the memo.
Well, yes, she definitely got the memo. So, how's everything going? Good?
Everything's going great, as usual.
Great.
Working right along.
Great. And you brought your animal medicine cards today.
Yes. These are oracle divination tools that were designed by two Native American healers and teachers, Jamie Sams and David Carson. And I've been reading these cards for well over 25 years, and I'm very happy with them, and they're the only oracle cards that I use.
Okay, so now that you've brought up kind of what they are, I want to talk about clans, because I know with tarot cards they have their, whether it's arcane,
arcana.
Yeah, the arcana. And animal medicine cards, they have clans. So we have this spread out here. Can you tell us a little bit about what they are?
Okay, these are the first 9 cards in the deck. And they're not called clans in the text that comes with these cards, but I call them clans simply because each of these shields have fetishes hung from the bottom that mean specific things. Now, the information on these is not included in the text. The only thing included in the text is the characteristics or the energy or medicine, and medicine simply means that which is good, that which is healing, that which has energy. It's not medicine as in when we take a pill. So these shields, what I did was I worked with a friend of mine, Sherry Carter, who lives in New Mexico, and she's Native American. I've worked with her, and I've worked with my spirit guides to understand what the significance is of the items that are hanging from the shields. In this group, the eagle is the first one. There is a fish bone here, which is the salmon bone, and the salmon is the energy for inner knowing, for psychic energy, for inner knowing. And then there's an eagle feather. And you can see from the shape of the feather, you'll see that some of the feathers go to the right, some of them go to the left, and that's significant because the mother side is from the left, the Mother Earth side is from the left, and the Father Sky goes from the right. So where these directions have inference as well. And there's a shell here that's open, which means to be open to the energy that comes to you from the medicine of the animal that shows up on the shield. Now, eagle's one of them, and then there'll be another animal. So there's a group of animals that are in this clan, a group in this, and this. On the hawk shield, there's a scallop shell and the claw of one of the big cats. There's also an arrowhead and a bone, and this particular bone is one of the ones for like your arm, your leg, which means traveling, moving, and there's a hawk feather. So each of these things, this scallop shell is relationships or material goods, and depending on the inference from the information as you're reading the cards, it'll tell you which one it's going to be for that particular card. The elk card has the same shell, but it's now backwards, meaning stay guarded. The red cloth that's in there is for you to understand the wisdom. There's also turquoise in here and coral in here, which have major meanings to them as well. The tip of the buffalo horn, meaning to be grateful for the abundance that you have. This particular bone, this curved bone, is similar to our collarbone. It's a burden, it's a weight-bearing bone, and this braided hair is warrior spirit or working spirit. It means that you have to get tough with things. This hawk feather is one of the wing feathers. It's not. It's one of the minor wing feathers, not one of the major wing feathers. There are no tail feathers in here. They're all wing for movement, that type of thing.
I can't believe that everything is so intricate.
It is, because life is intricate. When you're receiving a reading, it isn't just about the transformation. It's not just about introspection. It's not about gentleness. It's what you're supposed to do with it. how you're supposed to form it. And when I do a spread of cards, if you have a spread of cards and they're lined up like this, okay, we're going to put this one up here too. So you have a spread of cards, but this is directly linked to this information as well because they're in the same clan. So I'll say to you, look, you're going to be going through some things where there's going to be some powerful, heavy-duty medicine coming through because the snake is about transmutation. It's about taking in the poison and changing it into the power that you can take from it. It's about allowing your skin to shed so that you can move forward into what you're supposed to be. So if this is coming through and then later on the wolf comes through, the wolf is the pathfinder. So if it's saying to you, look, you're going to be shedding your skin, you're going to be doing this, and then you get down to here, it says you might have to find a different direction to do this. You might need to find your own path to achieve this transmutation, to achieve the change that you need to go through. And that's why it's important to understand this. The sea star is about regeneration and opportunities. It's about knowing that one opportunity might end, but don't worry, the next one's going to come along. Don't think that you're standing at a blank wall. So all of these things have direct information, and when I'm doing a reading for an individual, pieces of this will come forward almost like a three-dimensional, like a hologram, and say, we need to talk about health. We need to talk about getting tough. We need to talk about taking action. We need to talk about keeping your faith going. We need to talk about these things. So each of these things has import along with. The dog is about medicine, or about loyalty, about maintaining your loyalties. The dog will still return to those that abuse it, but sometimes you need to do that. And this will say, you've got what it takes to get past this. It'll also say, don't forget to look at both sides of a situation. Are you being loyal for the wrong reasons? Are you being loyal to the right person? So depending on where the cards wind up in a spread and depending on what comes forward is what I'm told to share with the individual who's having the reading. It's not just about, this is the spirit messenger, pay attention, message is coming to you. This is about keeping faith in the greater. This is the connection to infinite, to the infinite creator. It isn't just that, because what it's saying is, you know the path that you're supposed to be on, pay attention, they're helping you get there. So there's more than, and when I say to you that I've done meditations connected with my spirit guides to understand this, after I was told what each thing meant, later on, after I learned that, I found more information that said this is correct. Like coral, to me, looks like the circulatory system, so to me that's a health issue. And then I found out that coral for the Native Americans is life essence. So what's more of a life essence than our actual blood in our circulation system?
Wow.
So that's why I had to put my faith in what they were showing me at the time, and then that proved to be correct later on as I was doing this work.
Now, I don't know if this would even be off topic or not, but what if someone had a fear of an animal or a fear of...
That's happened. There's a lot of people that don't care for spiders, don't care for snakes, have a fear of dogs. There's a lot of people that have that, and I will often find that animal coming up in their spreads. Mm-hmm. And what it's saying to them is to look within, and why are you afraid of this? Is there a real reason? Has a dog attacked you? You can understand that. But is it simply because you don't care for snakes? Are you afraid? Are you afraid of shedding your skin? Are you afraid of allowing the transmutation to take place? Do you sit in the dark after the pain has happened, after the poison has come to you? Are you sitting in the dark and not finding the strength that it needs to turn this around?
I feel like you just rattled off some song lyrics.
It's lyrics. Do you sit in the dark afraid to do this?
Rattle off, no pun intended.
Oh, no, no pun intended.
But it's true. I mean, I know some of us, just by the looks of some things, may be fearful of animals, such as spiders,
right,
or snakes. I know if I saw anaconda, I'd be a little bit nervous myself. So that's why but it makes perfect sense. It's like something that we say to everybody as well. Okay, you don't like that person. Well, why don't you like that person? Because it's usually something that you're missing out within yourself.
Right.
You think that person's selfish, it's because you probably need a little bit more
giving of yourself, right, yeah. Right. Right. It's just a I always find it remarkable as well when I sit with a client and we do spread after spread, and the same, I shuffle this deck each time and spread them out, and it's up to the individual to choose what they want. The same card will come up several times in their reading, meaning that you really need to focus your energy on what this medicine is trying to help you with, what it's trying to bring healing with, which energies you really need to call on to help you get past what is going on in your life. And there's oftentimes when I have the opportunity to read several members of one family individually, but they will choose the same cards. It'll come up in a different position, but the same, especially siblings that are strongly connected. It just amazes me that the same cards will come up in each of their readings, even though they're not in the room at the same time having the readings done. And when I do a 6-month spread that talks about the energy you use from moon to moon, I find it interesting that the same card will come up in the same position for a family. And I know that there's going to be a big thing that's going on, that they need to really rally themselves together to move past this.
Right.
It's intriguing. It's intriguing. And people will say, well, I really want tarot. And I'm like, okay, but I only do this. I've been shown by my guides over and over again, I'm not to do readings with tarot cards. There's something about it that does not line up with me, or maybe it's a past life situation where tarot cards were involved. But every time I would try to learn the tarot, it was like mud to me, and every time I tried to do a spread with them, something unfortunate would happen in my immediate family. And I finally said, what is going on? And they said, this is the wrong energy for you. Stick with these. I learned these in a very, very short time. I was attracted to the deck because of the illustrations and the fact that it was animals. I learned these in such a short time, and it all made sense to me so quickly. And like I said, I've been reading them for over 25 years.
And I think that kind of goes into play, that this is probably what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
For someone to pick up on something so quickly, it's because, first of all, you're interested in it, but then it just kind of comes to you as well.
Right. It makes perfect sense. Most people that do light work also know that they have, supposedly, have one Native American guide with them. And I've always been skeptical about a lot of things that I do, because I say, okay, so this is what's supposed to happen, but is it really happening? And it came to me that as an artist, I had already drawn a portrait of one of my spirit guides without knowing that I had. And then I realized who it was that was helping me with a lot of this, as well as my friend Sherry. So I found it intriguing that this came together so easily. Now, Jamie Sams is Native American from a combine of 2 nations, and David Carson is from a different nation. So a lot of this information is combined information, and people will ask me, well, what about tigers? What about elephants? What about this or that? I only work with these cards. These are animals that are native to the North American, Central American landmass. I don't have polar bears, obviously, and I don't have elephants and anteaters and that kind of thing. I have what is indigenous to the North American continent, per se, not Canada, not going up into the circle. And I don't go too far below the equator either. I think the lowest one I have is jaguar and black jaguar, which are Central America, but really close to the equator. But there's no giant sloths, there's no Amazonian parrots, there's no sharks. There are a few finned. The ones that belong in the water are the salmon, which is the inner knowing, and I mentioned that on the eagle bone, the bone here, the inner wisdom of knowing the path that you're supposed to be on, of knowing how to get back to where you're supposed to be. There's the whale, which is about the record keeper, and it speaks to us of ancient times, of our deepest DNA, like going back through the records. There's the dolphin, which talks about mana and keeping things on an even keel. And alligator, which is amphibious, so it's in the water and out of the water equally. The turtle, but this is a land turtle, and it talks about the earth, staying connected to the earth mother. So most of these are four-legged. There's quite a few two-legged, as in birds and things, creepy crawlies, which are the ant, the butterfly, that type of thing, but primarily mammal energy.
So that, because it's a Native American origin.
Right.
So that's why.
But each thing has its place. Spider, ant, butterfly, they each have their place in what we need to understand.
Now, I know we had talked about animals in our daily occurrences. A lot of times they may show up on the left-hand side or they may show up on the right-hand side.
Right, or cross in front of us or go over us.
So can you explain a little bit?
Right.
Can you elaborate?
When you encounter an animal that crosses in front of you, and people will say, I was driving and a hawk flew right in front of me, going from the left to the right, from the Mother Earth side to the Father Sky side, indicates a letting go of something, indicates that you need to make sure that you're protected, but to let go and allow things to happen.
Right.
Going from the Father Sky to the Mother Earth side indicates that you've got to protect things more, that you have to pay attention. When it's flying, the directions are the east, which is the beginning, the south where you protect the child, the west where you allow things in, the north, which is the universal. Then you have above, below, and within. But if you've got something that flies coming from you that way, it's a message from Spirit saying, okay, let's allow universe to help you more. Let's allow it to help your inner child. Let's allow this to happen. Coming this way, your inner child's looking for more help. So it all depends on the direction that it occurs in, and is it just going on your left side and not crossing over? What do you need to recognize in that? What are you looking at? Today it was the great blue heron, and it was actually flying from my north position to my south position, but on the Mother Earth side, which says, are you really taking a look at what's going on and not judging everything that's happening to you? Are you just allowing it to happen? Because we're trying to help your inner child to understand what's going on, the flexibility issue once again. But let's make sure you're protected as that's happening. And then the poor dead coyote.
We both saw it today.
It was on the left side of me as I went past it, and it's an indication that the time for games and laughter is over. The joke has run its course. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty and take care of things.
That's sad.
It is sad, but it's all there for a reason. It's all there for a reason. People don't realize, they see dogs all the time and don't realize, is it an odd occurrence? Is it something that you should pay attention to? We don't see the great cats, fortunately or unfortunately, but each of them has a place in it as well. So, any other?
Wow. Now I'm thinking of my own personal dogs. What side do they go on all the time?
Right, but it isn't just, it's not the day-to-day occurrence. It's not the day-to-day occurrence, it's the odd occurrence. I talk to people, dragonfly, if you go to my website, you'll see that dragonflies are dominant on it, but the dragonfly is the medicine for illusion. It reminds us, are we living in the illusion or are we living in the reality? The reality is our loved ones are surrounding us always. The illusion is that we're in this by ourselves. The illusion is that we have control. The reality is we do not have control. No one has control. We can control how we respond to something, but we don't have control about how those somethings come to us. So that's why the dragonfly is there. And people will say, I see butterflies all the time. Is that a sign that my loved ones are around? And I say, if you're in a butterfly garden and you see butterflies all around, what do you think? No. When my mom passed in the late fall, it was March, it wasn't even spring yet. I said to a friend of mine, I know that my mother will send me butterflies at times to remind me that she's here. And as I said it, this is March in New England, a butterfly flew through the yard. Not normal. Not normal.
No.
This was not March 30th. This was like just after St. Patrick's Day, and a butterfly flew through the yard. So those are the things that I'm saying. Don't just say, oh, I see dragonflies, I know that they're here. Know that they're here regardless of whether you see the dragonflies or not. But if you're thinking of them and sitting outside and a dragonfly lands on you, that's them getting your attention. Okay? When you drive your car someplace and a butterfly's been hanging onto the windshield the whole time you've been driving, yeah, that's getting your attention to say, we're hanging in there for you. I had a spirit loved one come through saying to his mother, I'm not the dragonfly, I'm the hawk.
It's funny because I had the same thing, but he said, I'm not the butterfly, I'm the hawk.
Yeah.
And it was a younger spirit. And
Right.
he's like,
And
tell Mom.
yes, I'm not the dragonfly, I'm the hawk. And she said that she had gone someplace and sat outside and a dragonfly had landed on her chest. She talked to it the whole time. She got up to drive home, and as she drove her car, a hawk swooped right in front of her car. She
Wow.
almost hit it. So when I said to her, her son is saying to her, I'm not the dragonfly, I'm the hawk, she understood specifically what he was saying to her. I was the hawk, not the dragonfly.
Wow.
So, and nobody ever says, oh, I saw a snake, I know my father was sending a message to me to say that I'm doing well, changing things up to what I need. Nobody, of course, we don't have a lot of elk around us, but I have seen them out in the West. But just understand that with these cards, with the energy from these cards, Jamie and David had taken it upon themselves through their learnings, through what they've been taught, that each of these animals has multiple characteristics. They've just taken the strongest one of each. And to know that we have multiple energies too, and that if we allow our energies to work with us in the right way, that we can deal with what's coming into us, and to understand that it's more than just us in the world, that it's more than just one thing that shapes our path. There's more than one way to deal with things. And even if you go and have a spectacular reading, whether it be tarot, angel cards, medicine cards, whatever it is, that everyone still has free will.
Right. It can change at a drop of a hat.
And that even though we're saying this is what's going to be moving through your life, it might be strong, it might be a minor thing, it's still going to be moving through your life. And how you deal with it is still entirely up to you. You don't have to roll up into a ball and say, oh, they said this was going to happen, so I'm just going to let it happen. Sometimes it's saying, this is what's on your plate, do something about it.
Right.
Do something, shift it. Know that if I say to you, be careful of this, you're going to have to set up boundaries, that you can decide how strong the boundaries are going to be or what you're going to let in. You can decide when you want to shift it. It's not just this is just awareness. The yellow light means it's going to change, be careful. It doesn't mean speed up.
Well, some of us may.
Well, some of us may, but when you're driving on the road, there'll be a sign that says there's a intersection coming up, or there's a side road coming in. Most of us don't even pay attention to them anymore, but what those signs are saying is, there's a side road coming into this road. Somebody may be turning onto the road ahead of you, or you may have to make that turn. So these are saying, this is coming into your life, pay attention. Somebody else may be coming, like, pay attention. So these are more like road signs, or signs that saying, you're doing the right thing, but you're not in it alone. There's energy that you can call on, be aware of it. Be aware. Be aware.
Now, how long do these readings typically last? Like if someone's going to get a card reading?
A 30-minute card reading will give you a lot of information. A lot of information. But I know that there's some people that hesitate when they're choosing the card. They'll like hover to say, is this the one I want? And what I've been shown over and over again, it's not how fast or slow you choose them. You're going to choose them because your guides are saying this one, this one, this one.
You're drawn to it.
Right.
You're drawn to it.
But you'll be drawn to it whether you go fast or slow. So if people choose them at a moderate rate and lay them out, and I give them the information and they have a few questions, and that's good. I can go through 3 different layouts in 30 minutes, and they can get a lot of information.
Wow. Now, what would be the difference between the layouts?
There's, I always start my readings with what's called a pathway spread. And this spread is actually druidic in origin. It's the energy of the past, the energy that you're in now, the energy you'll be moving into, the lessons that you're working on, the lessons you've completed, the energy that works for you and the energy that works against you. And I turn them over and explain them as I go. And I ask people to choose the cards and lay them face down in the same order that they choose them. I don't have them face up, because face up, I've already gone through it in my head, and they're not going to get the complete information. So I do them one card at a time. Then there's a Sun Lodge spread, that if there's an individual in their lives that they need clearer understanding of, we'll do that. There's a Moon Lodge spread that talks about what you need to work on and understand within yourself. There's a Butterfly spread, and that's for specific problems or projects that you're working on. And I also do a 6-month spread, which talks about the energy from moon to moon. And when I say moon to moon, like today, this day in this month to the same date in the next month. So whatever the moon cycle is from that time to that time, all the way through
Okay.
for 6 months. It isn't like the full moon is now, so we're going to go this. It's this date now to this date in the next
Gotcha.
month to the month after.
Mm-hmm.
So it moves through. I can also add on to any of those, like if a specific question comes up to any of the different points in that particular spread, we can pull more cards in to explain that even further if there's a question about it.
And how often should people come to get their cards read? Because I'm assuming that you probably have repeat offenders, people that like to
Right.
come back.
Even with any readings that I do, whether it be card readings or spirit readings, I say to people, look you've received a lot of information. Let it percolate through. Let an understanding come of this. I say to people 3 months, 6 months, that's good. Other than that, I'll only do a 6-month reading for people. I could do a whole year, but what good is that going to do? Because by then things have changed a lot, because of the 3-month sections. So 3 to 6 months is good. After that, anything faster than that, you're a stalker. You're not living your own life. You're allowing somebody else to dictate what's going to happen. And I have to keep expressing to people free will.
Well, it's funny because a lot of times when I give readings, that comes up. It's, okay, your loved ones are here and they're telling you this is what you need to be doing, but you have to do the work now too.
Right.
They can only bring you so far, but you have to be responsible for your own actions, and it kind of goes on the same lines as the cards.
Right.
You can make them aware of the situation, but you are your own responsibility.
Right. I will typically tell a client, if you have questions about what you're doing with your life, you need a card reading. If you want to make contact with your loved ones in spirit, you need a spirit reading. Do not have a spirit reading in order to understand what you have to do to change your job. They're not here to change our jobs. They're not here to tell us who we're going to date. They're not here. They will say, we're aware that you're getting married. Congratulations. They'll say, yeah, you're looking for a new job. Don't get discouraged. But they're not here to say, this is where you need to find the wanted.
Right.
And they'll say, I'll be shown packing boxes, and I'll say, they're showing me that you're going to be moving or you just moved, because I'm seeing packing boxes, but they're not undone yet. So don't confuse the one with the other. Don't come in and ask your grandmother, what do I do now? Because she'll say, sit down and have some tea.
Right. Not much I can say about that.
Right. But if you're looking for direction or some answers for problems, the cards are the way to go.
So where do you do this out of, and how can people find you?
I have a website, fromspirittouYou.com, that has a lot of information on it.
And it's actually right up on the screen.
Right, and Tiffany and I share office space in Pembroke, Massachusetts, where we do private readings for very reasonable fees, and I'm also at Uplifting Connections in Bridgewater on Wednesdays. So lots of places. I do not do card readings at private home parties. I only do spirit readings at private home parties.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I don't do this. It takes too much time for individuals.
Well, I want to thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you
I
for
know
having me
we usually
once
do
again.
the hour-long, but we're doing half hour tonight. And Mandy's one of my very good friends. She's one of the only people that actually has patience for me. So, I'm kidding. Maybe
I don't have
not.
patience.
Maybe
I
not.
don't have patience.
So thank you again for coming in
Thank
and
you for
sharing
having
your knowledge of the animal medicine cards and everything else that you do. You're an amazing woman. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Get the tissues. All right. Now, we will see you next time, guys. Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah, it was